Okay, guys, so we are live! So for those listening at home, welcome to the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Madison, and I'll be your friendly Game Master today. Or Path Master? I don't know. I don't like the sound of that yet. Find Master? Nah. I guess I'll be your Game Master, your humble Game Master today, because tonight we are going to be playing a session, playing a classic that we actually haven't played all that much on the channel, but that is fond in the minds of many of us, and that is Pathfinder First Edition. We do have played quite a bit of Pathfinder Second Edition on the channel as of late, but for tonight we are going to be playing a session of Pathfinder First Edition set in a custom setting, or in a custom setting that doesn't really have a name yet, and we're playing an adventure called Last of the Falling Leaves. We have spent the last little bit getting ourselves acquainted with the characters and with the talking a little bit about the setting, but we are going to be meeting and getting to know the setting and the characters over the course of this session. So let me introduce you to the stars of tonight's session, and they can tell you who they are playing this evening. I'll go from left to right. First up is Jeffrey. Who are you playing tonight?
Hey everybody, I'm Jeff, and I'm playing Victor Schwartz, and he is a diplomat, bodyguard, and an unchained monk is his character class.
Very nice. Next up is John.
Hey everyone, I am John, and I'm playing Griffith Ironbreaker. He is a deep martial magus, and he is a war wizard. Technically, is his designation.
A Kriegszauberer.
Yes.
And last, but certainly not least, is our resident armor smith, Dave.
Hey everyone, I'm playing Nyala. She is a swash paladin, a pally buckler. Yeah, it's a duelist swashbuckling character with some paladin abilities.
Yeah, I think your archetype is technically called the Virtuous Bravo.
That sounds really way cooler than
So we are
Bravo, yes.
We are playing with a number of optional rules for those who will be familiar with the Pathfinder First Edition game, which is our want on the channel. We're playing with the optional P6. Not optional, these are some house rules that fans made up. The P6 rules that caps your level advancement at least at level 6, and then you can continue advancing the characters in a different way. I should actually, after the stream, I'll put a link to the P6 rules if anyone wants to check those out as well, because they're pretty cool. We are also playing with the a number of options from Unchained, including the set bonuses. We're not worrying about like magic item bonuses and things like that. We are playing with what else are we playing with? There's the inherent bonuses. There's
background skills.
P6 background skills. Yeah, so the characters are more skilled as is befitting the the setting of the adventure. And I think that's it for now. We're going to be kind of seeing what we want to play with as we go. The P6 is going to be the most significant change to these heroes, because in this setting at 6th level you are as powerful as far as gaining levels can be as anybody. It's so the world is a much more low power level place. 4th level spells, 5th level spells, and so forth. 4th level spells can be accessed, but only through the most learned of things. Common firearms, right? We're also playing with common firearms, so revolvers, rifles, and shotguns are also a common use item in this setting. But guys, so I mentioned the adventure is called The Last of the Falling Leaves. And where our setting starts, guys, I think I have the wrong thumbnail here. So let me just bring you over to where we should be starting. Guys, our scene opens on something very much like what you see here. It is night. There is a moon rising, and allow me to show you one that is unobstructed. We can see that there are no lights in any of the houses surrounding this gated entrance. And while you cannot see from this distance, if you were to venture closer to that mounted figure, you would find that they are not among the living, nor is their mount. The birds that cry and circle overhead, there is a light in one of the two towers. There's a light in the other. There is no other sign of life in this. But our three heroes have learned that such appearances can very often and tragically be deceiving. So why don't you tell us what it looks like as you guys go creeping up in the shadows to try and see if you can spy any other waiting foes or threats. I can tell you that you have all learned through harsh circumstances that the innocuous can very quickly become the deadly. Who's the first we see creep forward?
It might be Victor. He might be the quietest. He's not really wearing any armor or carrying any heavy equipment.
Okay.
So he may lead the way.
Do you guys want to track your hero points in a green bar, or do you want to track your hero points on a button on your, like a...
Oh, like a dot?
Yeah.
I'd go with a dot.
Dot?
Did you want a bar, Dave? Is that what...
Yeah, I'm going green bar.
More bars obscure the pretty pictures.
I just added one to Victor. Look at that.
Thank you. Good. I appreciate it.
Wrong character. Oops.
Well, don't delete it. I'm happy.
There
He
we go.
probably moves very low and close to the ground.
Okay. Why don't you give us a stealth check?
Let's see how silent he is.
It's downfall of Warg armor.
Oh,
30.
yeah.
So,
Jesus.
Yeah.
you are also a monk, so you could quite easily be scrambling across one of those ruined rooftops if you like.
Yeah, true. He doesn't necessarily always on the ground. Very parkour as he silently moves across the landscape.
I can tell you, Victor, that if your face is illuminated by that full moon, we would see, unlike your portrait, you are not the picture of hale and hearty life. Your bones are poking out through your skin. You are the picture of lean times. And I think you are hopeful that something salvageable as foodstuffs may be found in here. What will we see as you scout out this area?
Probably, like I said, he's creeping very close to be it the ground or the roof line. So, he's careful that even his form doesn't give away his position, against any reflected moonlight or anything. I guess if he's probably extremely focused, and so he can sort of move with his eyes never leaving the rider, basically.
Okay. So when you get close, are you trying to get a sense of what the rider might be, or are you trying to see any other possible entrance beyond this one gate? What are you thinking?
I think at this point he is attempting to get a feel for what is going on with this rider before he...
Sure. Why don't you give us a perception check, please? Actually, you could take a 10 on that because you would have plenty of time.
Oh, sure.
I can't remember, for those listening at home, I can't remember how taking a 10 works in PF1,
I can
but
just roll too.
I ran 3. Incredible.
That's good. Yeah.
So as you get close, you focus your vision as best you can. Wait for this thing to come into focus, and what you can see is, first, there is a bit of like tarnishing, or what you attribute to tarnishing or verdigris on the armor of this thing. But you know better, and looking more closely, you can see the signature black mold that grows in a fungal infection born by one of your great foes to this world. This is a mold born.
Oh.
Something not dead, technically, but not truly alive. This you can think of as a not dead, not alive, not undead either, but a alternately living creature. And you can see that when the light hits, this thing is fused with its mount as well. Likewise, a mold-born creature.
Do they sense, as far as I understand, the same way? Like, do they have sight? Do they have hearing? Like, what do I know anything about how they?
They have a kind of, you've known through harsh experience, they have some way of sensing something. Griffith has theorized that these things have some kind of like spore field around them where they can sense things moving. If you are silent enough, you can confuse them and you can get around that. But otherwise, they can sense things. Even if they are buried, they can sense with that spore field.
Were we expecting to see these spore men or fungus men here at this place?
You were not expecting it, but it is not a surprise.
Okay. I'm just wondering if it's the kind of thing I would bother to go back and tell my allies, or...
I think because there are certain... You may wish to discuss strategy.
Yeah, so I think at this point then he would sort of slink back the way he came and return to his hiding allies.
So, bearing in mind it has been some time since you guys have had food, a place to properly rest, a place to properly clean, why don't you tell us what Victor finds as he comes back to where Griffith and Nyala are concealed?
You want me to you want them to describe themselves?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Is he asking us, or is he asking Jeff what Jeff sees? So I think Nyala is unlike the picture that you see in the pretty blonde lady. She's fairly gaunt and thin as well, but also dirty. Like, she's got smudges of dirt on her face, and her hair is matted and maybe crusted in some spots because there hasn't been a proper bath in a long time. Mm-hmm. And so she tries to just keep it back because it's easier to manage then. It's also easier to hide if her golden hair isn't shining and voluminous, but that's another problem for another day.
Okay.
And as far as Neologist is taken towards looking grimy, Griffith has gone the extra mile. He has caked the shiny parts of his breastplate in mud so it doesn't glint, and he's not the stealthiest of the group, so he has to lean into not being seen in the dark. But likewise, his skin he's got twigs in his beard, just grumpy and just grinding his hammer into the ground, just waiting.
Victor, what do you do when you arrive back? Where do you think you guys are concealed? Is it like there's probably a couple of outlying houses, those unfortunates who have been forced to build outside of the outside of the walls? Are you concealed in one of those buildings? Are you hiding just in a field or shed, a barn?
Griffiths would be most comfortable inside of structure of some sort. The open sky is not something he doesn't. He's not thrilled by it, but he'd prefer to be indoors.
Mm-hmm. Okay, where do you think then? Shed, an old abandoned house.
Maybe a stable not too far away.
Okay.
Place with lots of exits.
Okay.
And I think Nyala's at a window or, fence, and we watched Victor leave, so we're kind of expecting him to return the same way. He's not always visible when he returns, but if you're perceptive enough and he slips up, there's the odd time you see him.
Okay. So with a 30, I think we'll assume that Victor, you're able to arrive back however you choose, whether it's suddenly appearing with among them, whether it is to.
I think it's sort of like once I know I'm in the safe spot, it's just like he comes out of the shadow, sort of right by the barn or whatever that they're hiding in.
Griffith will give almost a start and says, "If my heart wasn't made of stone, I'd be dead long from your escapades, Victor."
Well, there's a fungal rider at the gate. Watching.
So, Griffith, would you give us an... I think you have knowledge dungeoneering, don't you?
I do.
Yeah, give us a knowledge dungeoneering check, please.
I rolled low, but I got a 20.
No, that's good enough, yeah. So what you know about this, and again, this is probably through harsh experience, you have learned that these things have a kind of like... whether it's natural or unnatural or magical or occultic or whatever, they are connected. So one of the things with these fields, while their immediate spore field is fairly distant, unless they are separated from the larger, more diffused spore connection, they will all know. So if this rider knows if there are more of these fungal things inside, unless you draw it away or somehow sever its connection, others may be aware that this thing has been, if you choose to deal with it, if it spots you, even.
Griffiths will look at Victor's like, any chance we could take it down quickly?
I don't know about quickly enough.
Then we best avoid it. Find a way to sneak around.
One thing to consider... Oh, go ahead, Dave, sorry.
It's like, would it be worth luring it away from the gate and then sneaking around?
Could be value in that. More will follow.
It'd have to be one of you quick-footed ones. My build for short sprinting distances, not long running.
Oh, come on now. If the hobbits were in Isengard, you'd be saying it's different and different.
I'm just saying I'm not fast.
Okay. Okay.
Now, do we want inside of this place, Kevin? Is that correct?
Yeah, because you've not found food anywhere else, and there may be preserved food in here.
Yeah.
Depending
so
on when this place fell.
Possibly rest, but mainly we need food.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I think it's enough to. If we lure it out, we would see how many of them there are potentially, but at the same time, it would alert them to our presence. So there's risk and reward to such a plan.
You could travel on to the next settlement and hope that one of your enemies has not taken the region, but that's a lie.
Well, Griffith looks at the cheekbones sticking out of Victor's face. He's like, I don't think you can make it to the next settlement.
I feel like I haven't eaten for months.
And that's perhaps when your mind goes back. And as we transition, guys, if in the film version of our campaign, we would see a transition saying 577 years earlier.
577.
We aged very well.
What we would see is also a title card announcing this is Waldbergstadt, the capital of the Grindlehaus Empire, the seat of the Imperator Nicholas Grindlehaus, his Empress Sophia Grindlehaus, and your lord, who you three serve, the Crown Prince Hugo Raphael Grindlehaus. Now, let me give you a handout for Hugo. We talked about him before. And this, guys, this is an important day. All right, Crown, oopsies. Prince Hugo Raphael Grindlehaus. And there you are, guys. And allow me to transition.
Is that a bastard sword he's got?
It is.
Nice. Not often you see appropriately sized weapons.
Just going to turn this music up just a scooch here. Okay. So, what you can hear is the sound of birds calling, the sound of people. This is the capital of a continent-spanning empire. And the ruckus in the streets, the movement of uniformed troops, the sounds of 100 different cultures speaking a dozen different tongues, all walking throughout the streets of this magnificent city. That is what you were greeted with. And our view would change to the court of the Imperator. Okay, it's bringing you over now. It is, as is often the case, a very, very busy affair. There are visiting dignitaries. There are soldiers from many of the different conquered kingdoms within the empire coming to speak to the Imperator because at present, the low simmering war that the Grindlehaus Empire has had with the sovereignty of Kadzashar promises to become a proper world-spanning conflict. But the world has not seen something like this, at least not in living memory. And so the glory and the chance for heroism, that is what's on everyone's mind right now. Think of any sort of pre-World War I conflict. The Franco-Prussian War, any of the things from the 80 years prior to World War I, where everyone thought that wars would be over with in the span of, a couple of weeks. And then you would reset the borders, and then everyone would go back to how things were before. Ooh, I'm just going to turn this down just a scooch. The last bit of that was a little loud.
Can I get download the soundtrack, please?
Yes, you can. All Kevin MacLeod once again.
I'll put it in my DLC download. Pay Kevin. Okay,
So you guys will be going in here, and why don't you tell us? This is you. You are the trio who supports the favored crown prince. Hugo is beloved by the press, by the people of the Grindlehaus Empire. He is and is thought to be one day the favored imperator. Imperator Nicholas is well thought of by his subjects. Prince Hugo promises to be even greater. Tell us what we would see as the three of you are moving through the halls here, trying to find your wayward prince.
Well, it would be definitely the opposite physically of what we just saw. Instead of completely gaunt, Victor is, tan and fully healthy, probably a very clean shaven face, and his hair sort of styled nicely. Definitely looks the part of fitting into this court.
And Victor is also wearing the military insignia marking his rank as lieutenant.
Right.
Lieutenant Victor Schwartz. What about Griffith or Niala?
So you see Griffiths like in front of the other two, just in his shiny breastplate. He's got his helmet tucked under one arm, warhammer at his hip, just pushing his way past people if they don't move, because he can't see above other people's heads. Has to rely on his other two members. But he's got his beard is bushy, it's all braided up, his hair is pulled back into like tight braids, and he's just like, his skin is almost oiled and just look like he's raring to go.
Nice. We would also see that he is wearing military rank insignia as well. He has the distinction of being a Kriegsaberer Lieutenant. So he is a war wizard lieutenant. What about Niala?
Niala also is, clean and done up much more than normal. And she's wearing kind of like a puffy pantaloons and a big frilly shirt that doesn't go down too far at the front, but still leaves some to the imagination, but looks very, it's almost like she's royalty, but she's not wearing any fancy jewelry or anything like that, but just the caliber of her personality just kind of glows through her.
Yeah.
And she also has some rank, I believe, right?
Do you recall what it was?
I'd have to scroll up and try and butcher it in my terrible English, so I will.
I can put it phonetically if you just want to say it. Here, let me do this for you.
She's a Kaplan Lieutenant.
Lieutenant.
Yes.
Yeah, for those viewing, Griffith is not one of those burly, like ugly dwarves. He's got a charisma of 14, so
yeah,
he's got a little bit of a regal bearing as a dwarf.
Yep.
He is also quite intelligent as well too. There's a spark of genius in his eye, I imagine.
You'd see a rapier hanging from her waist,
Almost a mad queen.
A nice silvery, sparkly, gilded hilt, or basket hilt, and there's probably a fairly well-oiled, wooden-handled pistol in a beautiful leather holster.
Nice.
Everything looks so nice.
Does your musket axe, Griffith, is it also likewise?
It's strapped along his back. He doesn't make a show of pulling it out, but it's there if he needs it.
Is it, kind of an heirloom type thing as well, where there's filigree and whatnot in it, or? Oh
yeah, it's definitely an heirloom for his family, the Ironbreakers.
Yeah.
So
if anyone was counting as well, you would likely found an equal number of humans, elves, and dwarves among this court, as well as a smattering of the other species that you find in any Pathfinder setting. The three of you, has anyone tried to, that you were meeting with Crown Prince, has anyone tried to get a sense of what, what you're going to be doing and why your Crown Prince is not where you expected to find him in his quarters this morning? Now, if anyone decided to try and seek out rumors or anything like that, for instance, we could make a diplomacy check. See if you've heard anything.
Yeah, I think Griffith would make the attempt to find out where his liege lord is at some point or another.
Okay. So quite
Would you like some help with that, good dwarf?
Well, you do have a height advantage on me.
Oh, I meant knowing people that are prominent in it who might have some idea. But sure, I can look over your shoulder if you need.
Let's see here. I'm trying to remember how aid another works. Oh, here we go. 86. Is it against 20?
No, it's 10.
Only 10. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and give us a diplomacy check. Let's see if...
I rolled quite well for my +2 bonus.
I can't. Oh, I guess I could technically fail, but...
Oh, yeah.
Incredible. Yeah. All right, so...
14 diplomacy.
You were way better than me.
And you were wearing parade armor, so you have the insignia of a Kaplan Lieutenant of your goddess, one of the two favored faiths within, three favored faiths, I should say, within the Grindlehaus Empire. What you guys have heard by talking to other members, perhaps members of the officer corps, is it seems as if the Imperator is intent on putting Crown Prince Hugo in charge of the Grindlehaus Navy. If so, that means that you will be sailing out of a place called Alterhafen, or Old Port. Alterhafen is fairly far away, several hundred kilometers away from Waldbergstad, but it is likely that you guys will be making use of one of the artifacts found in the Imperial City. That is a teleporting stone. One of very, very few found anywhere else in the Empire, if not indeed the world.
You hear Griffith grumbling, if it's not these dang blasted open skies, it's water travel. Dwarves don't like the sky or sinking.
The reason being is it is said that the sovereignty of Kadzashar's navy is formidable. And if there is glory to be found for the Crown Prince, this leading that army, or if he's successful in his naval engagement, then that will be truly something to mark him not only as a well-favored, progressive, and thoughtful ruler, but also a true war hero. Where do you think he's gone, knowing him as you do? It's not like he's probably skipping out on this appointment, but...
Would he be with another... Would he be with that woman again?
He is a young man.
One of them? I can never remember which one. The Lady of the Week, I believe. Is that what you called them, Griffith?
I think that might be abusive of his position. If he is taking advantage of every woman that he could, he is the future Imperator. Who could possibly say no to him?
Right.
Just holds his tongue and just murmurs something about, we shouldn't speak that way about our liege lord.
It could very well be true, though. Niala...
Even if it was true.
Yeah, you did roll quite well. And that would also suggest that he would be shirking his duty in order to do that. Do you think that's what the Crown Prince is doing?
No, I think he's probably just late. Because,
Why, though?
So busy. He's got so many important things to do.
Victor, you are his bodyguard. Part of a sworn order dedicated to protecting the Imperator's family.
Yeah, Victor.
Well, he must be... I mean, for one thing, I would never participate in searching out or rumor mongering. I must keep my mind clear of such things. But I'm sure he is preparing.
Where do you think he might go? You go to the library?
Yes, he must. He could be studying about naval techniques.
Could be offering praises or pleas to the deities to guard over him. That's what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would be preparing. If he's up against a stronger foe, he would want to have every advantage that he could find.
It is odd that he didn't warn us or let us know.
Maybe it's not the Navy that he's preparing for. Would it be that this item, this, I don't know, powerful thing? That I'm sure he's done tons of naval study over the years, but this item they want him to use, I don't know all about it or anything, but
it apparently takes a great... Oh, actually, here, Griffith, why don't you give us a arcane knowledge arcana? So I will tell you that there is, like in most Pathfinder settings, there are civilizations, lost civilizations, but there are, unlike in, I mean, there is, this isn't true, because in Pathfinder there's a similar thing too, but in this world there are clear breaks between when there was a civilization before and now, where the learned believe that cataclysms have befallen those civilizations. So when they did collapse, it wasn't simply a matter of them fading or being replaced by new people. Something happened to catastrophically end one line of peoples and then allow another to emerge from its ashes.
Calamities, digging too deep, reaching too far. People never learn. This
thing is one of a handful of such objects, and it requires a great deal of magical specialty. The Kriegsaber, the Kriegsaber are, it's basically requires the attention of some of the most powerful and learned wizards within the Empire in order to just operate that thing properly. It does allow you to transport yourself effectively anywhere that they wish to send you.
I imagine it's not too much of a use for like big war effects because it'd probably be limited to small groups.
Precisely.
Still, the strategic advantage it would offer.
Indeed.
So, where do you think you're going? Where would you go to look for him? The War College is what Victor suggested. And I made the suggestion it was something quite seedy. Perhaps there is a sweetheart he has. I'll admit, perhaps that's what you were speaking of.
Or perhaps I was just a bit envious.
It could be, yeah.
Projecting as Griffith decides to say. Prince looks at every other woman, doesn't look at me.
It would be fraternization, actually.
Yes, we know. Can we move on now?
Niala is also, I think, 6 times his age. So,
yeah. That would
be know all these humans. They see an elf and go, ooh, she looks young.
Be like Edward and Bella. We don't want to go there.
So where would it be that you were going to find him? Where would you land on between the three of you? Where are you most likely to find your prince?
I mean, I'm thinking the War College or somewhere to study, but what do you think?
That's probably a good idea. We could start there.
Yeah, I would say that would be the most likely place. Probably the least likely is with his love interest.
Yeah, especially at this time.
That's more of a last-minute kind of thing.
Is there any place that you know that he, prefers to study, or a favorite part of the library, or does he study in the open, recognizing that it's difficult for the heir to the empire to hide one?
That, and it's easier to avoid assassination if you're in the open with a lot of people around. It's hard to get to you.
So I think perhaps then when you guys walk into the War College, what you find is effectively everyone gone except for him in the middle of a massive hall with a bunch of books open before him, set on stands, and he is studying among them and perhaps talking to one or two librarians. And as he does, you see one of the librarians go racing off to go collect some other thing for him. He is, lean and tall, and when he fully grows into his manhood, he may be have the same cast as his father does, but he still is also at that age where there is a great deal of boy in him too. So
Griffith, he feels immediate relief upon seeing him, but instead of going right up to him and like asking him what he's doing, he just looks over the books and runs his thumb down the spines, trying to figure out what his liege lord is studying. Just by.
Okay, I think do you have knowledge history as well?
I do.
Go ahead and give us a knowledge history.
It's not as high as my other ones, but.
Ooh, now do you want to? You satisfied with that, or you want to hero point that? Everyone gets a hero point, by the way. Oh, I've already gotten rid of your... Go ahead and add your green bars back in, guys.
Right. Sorry. It's even lower this time.
Oof,
I'll just keep my one left over.
Okay. So it's not clear. I mean, it's obviously that he's looking over, a bunch of information about naval records, the history of naval engagements. There's some stuff on engineering that's been pulled out. It seems as if he is trying to get as much on as many diverse subjects as he can at the last minute. Victor, any of you can give us a sense motive roll as well.
Okay, I think I'll do that.
Sense motive.
Yala, are you satisfied with that, or do you want to hero point that?
No, I'll just leave it.
What?
Maybe she's distracted. I was before the sense motive check. I was thinking maybe she's going to walk around the room and just check things out.
Mm-hmm. Victor. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, I was just.
So the two of you will look, and so Nyala is as you say, Dave, just distracted. But Griffith, when you look up from the list of books at your young prince, you and Victor perhaps share a look, because you can tell he does not display anxiety very often. If you are going to grow into the role of Imperator, then one cannot be a blushing violet. You just are not raised to be that kind of person. So it's not like he is looking haggard or anything like that, but the two of you knowing him as well as you have, perhaps for as long as you have, we haven't set we talked a little bit before we started the session about how we're going to discover the backstory for these guys. So I'll leave it to you to how long you've known him. You could have known him since he was a child. You could have known him only at some later point in your career. Some of you would have been adults for the extent of his lifespan. Mm-hmm. Right, so
I think Griffith he served the Emperor. I think you said
Imperator.
Family Imperator. Yeah. He's been in the service like in his entire adult life. So he was probably around when the prince was born, and was more like around.
Yeah. So I think you do that thing that when parents see their children as who they were before rather than who they are now. You see a view of the boy that you used to know.
Yeah. So Griffith's he'll clear his throat kind of under his breath and look at Victor and go, because they're more closer to the same age. He's like,
yeah.
Talk to him.
And Victor, you can likewise. How long do you think Victor has been in service?
I think maybe less time than that for sure. Since he's been active as a young adult, so however long he's been.
You said he's 30 now?
Yeah, I'm 30. Yeah.
Yeah, and so then you started. What did you roll for your? When did you commence your adventure career?
20. I think I was 21.
Oh, okay. So
22. Yeah.
22. So 8 years.
Yeah.
That means when you came into service, he would have been 11.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Likewise, if you've been
I've known him for a long time, man.
Yeah. So how about you, Nyala? Or Nyala?
Nyala's been around for a long time, but she's only been in the service of Hugo, along with Victor and Griffith, for probably about 5 years.
Okay.
So she had other duties that she was doing within the organization.
I'm interested to hear what, at some point, what her what it was she did to draw the attention and the favor of the Grindlehaus to be honored with such a task.
I think it was stumbling on. She stumbled on an assassination attempt on the boy.
Yep.
And then felt, like she helped uncover it, and with Griffith and Victor's help, foil it, and that kind of brought her in. She's like, "Well, I didn't really want this job," and he's like, "Well, clearly you're well suited for it." Oh, okay, fine.
Then might I suggest something, Dave? I know you're so adverse to this, but perhaps some kind of necromantic plot?
Yes, definitely.
Dave's a fan of the undead, so...
I can see that Griffiths probably served a bit as a tutor towards Hugo because of his wide range of skills and languages.
Oh, yeah.
But kind of evolved into more of a protector role after that particular assassination attempt, probably.
Well, and Griffith also likewise would fall very much into that kind of like the way that some children view their fathers, right? Of like, you can do anything because you are so learned and you can fight and you can cast spells and whatnot. What about Victor? What's your relationship been like with Hugo? You're closer in age than what the others are.
Yeah, and I would have been, I guess, fairly young. So I was imagining that Victor was working for someone else, as a bodyguard of some diplomat that came to visit the Imperator. I gotta write that down.
I'll put it here.
Imperator.
We need a dramatis personae notepad.
Yeah.
And I think that it was sort of at the time when Hugo was starting to show an interest in being more involved. 11, he's like, I can do things, and so I think it was a case of I showed my skills in some way, and the Imperator would have been like, "Oh, we need to get a bodyguard like that for Hugo," and then he would ask me something like, "Well, how do we get a bodyguard like you?" And then I probably, because of my truthfulness, said something like, "Well, all you have to do is ask. I can't turn you down," or
Yeah.
And it's just like,
love it.
"Oh, well then, you shall be protecting our son from now on," And I get the smack on the side of the head from whoever I was protecting, kind of thing.
I think Griffith likes Victor because of his open-minded. He says what he means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then Griffith has known Hugo his entire life. Victor has come into service for 9 years, and then Niala was about 5 years ago when he would have been 14 when there was the threat of the necromancer.
Interesting age to inject a female elf into his life, too.
One as attractive and as charming as Niala as well is definitely going to have an influence. So then, getting back into the scene, Victor and Griffith, you would know him as he. It's not like him to be anxious, but perhaps understandable at this moment.
Yeah.
And he says, "Forgive me. What does he call you guys? Does he shorten your names? Does he call you by your full? Is there a nickname he has for you?"
I mean, I think he would call me Vic.
Vic, okay.
Griffith would insist on a full first name, but that's about as formal as he'll get.
Okay.
Outside of his title.
Okay.
And I think Niala's name is already pretty short, so he probably just calls her Niala.
Okay.
Unless he goes to he's being funny and trying to be cutesy, even though it's inappropriate, and he'd be like, call her Blondie or something.
What about Lala?
That's great.
Lala. Perhaps.
Okay. So he sees you all, or kind of realizes that you are here. It's just, forgive me. We meet with Father. And he corrects himself. We met with the Imperator this morning to be charged with our task, and I wish to... I was up quite early. And both Victor and Griffith, he didn't fucking sleep.
Yeah, Griffith just grunts and he pokes one of the books and says, "Think you picked up one of my bad habits, burying yourself in research."
He says, hardly a bad habit when it achieves results, Griffith.
Mm-hmm. Performance judges whether it was worthwhile or not. It's got an interesting mix of books here. What are you looking at?
In considering what I would be undertaking and the tasks in which I might be required to make decisions in very short order, I found myself questioning a number of areas, so I felt it wise to shore up any of those questions. And you can tell he's got like about 8 books open on 8 different topics and other things stacked on other things. Like, there's no way he's processing as much as he is. He's a clever kid, but like, there's just no way he's getting all this stuff.
Griffin raises a not quite bush eyebrow because he's well manicured, but a nice one. He says, "There must be one burning question in that head of yours."
How do I answer a question that will lead to men's death when I know not the answer?
That's a tough one. Those questions are answered in the doing rather than the prepping.
And what must be done right now is to go meet with the Imperator.
Yeah, Niala, there has got to be 20, 25 books.
She leans into Victor. 26 books on the table.
He is very nervous.
This is serious.
Then the Imperator awaits. We should go. Then, and he turns to the librarians. "Thank you for indulging my interest," and they're very fawning and grateful and whatnot. He says, "You have been of great assistance." And he turns and says, "Should we go then?"
I have one question left. This burden you have is one that cannot be shared by your confidants. Must you keep it to yourself?
I must make the decisions, though. There will be a fleet at my command.
The final decision, yes, that will be yours, but we are bodyguards and advisors. If you need help, we will help. In thought, deed, and action.
You mean I need not know the answers to every question? I need only have those around who can provide those answers.
That is wisdom from one so young.
I was taught well, Griffith. Then, the Imperator is not known for his patience. Perhaps we should make our appearance.
Yes.
And Griffith will walk ahead and just like clonk, clearing the way. He's the slowest, so he'll set the pace.
Yeah. So, with you guys making your way towards there, is there anything you want to chit-chat about or ask Hugo about before you... Nice. Anything you guys wish to talk about before you arrive at the court?
I think Niall has this habit of reporting things to Victor because he's the official bodyguard, but she's just very observant or perceptive, and just she's like kind of always looking around. And Victor needs to stay near the prince, so she's able to deviate away from conversations and get away a little bit and come back and go, yeah, there's this and this, and let the bodyguard decide what's worthy of it looking to or not.
Right.
That's why I'm around, right? Because I'm observant and charismatic.
Anything that Griffith or Victor, to either the Crown Prince or to one another?
I mean, I think I'm just deep in thought right now about what he said.
What do you make of it?
When is any man ready to make decisions that cost the lives of others? You know, like that's.
When he is willing to bear the burden.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that anybody's ever ready for that, or, you know, there's not enough learning you can do to make the right decision in a lot of ways when it comes to other people's lives. So I'm not even sure. Griffith is promising counsel, and it's like he's sort of thinking like, I don't know what to do. How would anyone ever be ready for such decisions?
It's old dwarven wisdom is what Griffith is relying on. If the foundation is strong, no wind will shake it.
What are you all thinking of, knowing that you will be setting sail on the Imperial flagship at the head of an armada bound for war?
Griffith's not pleased about swimming.
There's more wisdom in what you imply, Victor. The understanding that you don't know it all, or that you might not have the answers to help, implies more wisdom than otherwise.
This is to Hugo or to Victor?
Well, she just says that in general.
Oh, okay.
So it came right after Victor, so it might sound like she's giving that to Victor, but the prince is probably listening. So
I think Victor's all internally thinking. I don't think he was speaking out loud, unless maybe he mumbles out loud when he's thinking. I don't know yet.
Character
Not
books are very
intentionally.
interesting.
Yeah.
okay. Well, she still says that.
Yeah.
Griffiths, he's of the mind that problems are solved in the moment, and dwelling on them too long just leads to disaster. So he would probably purposely be distracting the Crown Prince Hugo from his thoughts.
Okay.
Describing all kinds of like naval warfare and, you know, machines they can bring along and the spells, flotation devices might save your life.
How do, I guess first of all, I'm assuming each of you has seen some measure of war in some capacity, but what do you make of a potentially being thrown into the cauldron of a conflict of this scale?
Yeah. That is... It's not that appetizing. Let's put it that way.
No.
I'm not afraid necessarily of the water or the boat, but I do feel that's a little out of my range of expertise, you know. I'm a little far off from our enemies when they are on other boats to sort of have much effect on protecting the prince.
Once you get your sea legs, you'll be fine.
Man, open sky above and water below. No land in sight. He looks back for his musket. He's like, well, at least I got this thing.
I don't think the gravity of it has hit yet. You know, we've just learned of this, so it's kind of like, oh yeah, it's something new, change. There's always change, but I don't think until we probably see the scope of the fleet, and it'll probably won't hit Nyala until that happens.
Excuse me.
Though naval battle implies that we're going long distances, and Griffith, one part of his mind's wondering what could be so important that we're going across an ocean or a large body of water to go fight for. That's one thing he's worried about.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, I thought we knew about the artifact thing. Or it's just a rumor.
Well, no, the artifact is strictly to transport you from here to Alterhofen.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. It's not. The war is not over an artifact. The war is the way that is the thing that most nations fight over: land, territory, competing powers, two empires crashing together.
Resources.
Griffiths think there's some other underlying factor that they don't speak about because nobody's going to tell the public what they're really fighting for.
Yeah. It's also like this has been 50 years of conflict between the two the two powers. So what has changed to suddenly have things go? If you guys wish to, make any dice rolls or like any skill checks or whatnot to reflect what any kind of things your characters might know or might have looked into, I'm happy to have you make those checks.
We really got training in history for the ones I'm looking at being important. Maybe there's a history we should know about.
Yeah, why don't you give us a history check, please?
No, not bad.
Okay. I think it's broad strokes of what you know between the two. The sovereignty of Khazar has a different religious structure to what you guys do. They do not venerate the two gods that the three gods that the Grindlehaus Empire venerates. They also have a very different fighting technique. They do have a less technological bent than what you guys do, but they have more widespread magical resources. So it is a place that comes from... They also seem to have a much better ability where you might master a machine of some kind to help with manufacturing or to help with transportation or whatnot, like a locomotive or a steam engine. They would make use of magical beasts and things like that, things they have enslaved. So what you may be facing, you could be facing a number of magical species as well as whatever, typical species that you may be expecting. We talked about this before we went live too, but the sovereignty of Khazar is also populated by elves and dwarves and a mix of different races, or races as the races are known in Pathfinder. But they are, a different culture, different religion, and different imperial goals. One thing that they are not is they are an empire based on conquering and assimilating, where the Grindlehaus Empire is one on accommodation and integration. That still is at the sword point, but it makes for a different kind of empire.
It's a very interesting mixed bag. I like it.
So, anyone else have anything they were doing to try and learn about the roots of the conflict? If not, we can go to the...
No, I think...
No? Okay. Victor?
I just... The way my character is, I can't see the royal family sharing anything with Victor that they would be scared of their enemies learning.
Yes. Just because you're truthful doesn't mean you have to answer, but it does mean that you cannot lie. So,
right, I know, but it's like, still, they're,
Why would they want to put you in that position? Yeah.
Do you take like a vow of truth or something?
Yes.
Although it's
nice.
I would like you to consider what things you do know that you just do not talk about, because...
I know.
So, let's go to the...
As a side note, this is the first time I played with somebody who had vows as an actual monk. This is great.
Yeah. Let us go to the Imperator's throne room.
Every time Griffith comes in here, he just marvels at the architecture.
Mm-hmm. And as you come in, you can see there are, not depicted in the illustration, are, of course, the hangers-on and the members of court that are in here that always sort of lurk on the other sides of it. But knowing that the Crown Prince is coming, you can see that far at the other end of the hall is the Imperator, or Imperator. I should like the way you pronounce that better, Jeff. The Imperator himself. And where is it here? There he is.
Dave, why don't you tell me playing dwarves is so much fun? First out of this is how open sky should be, with a roof.
Yeah. Here he is, guys. Imperator Nicholas Timeo Grindlehaus.
Excellent.
And while there is a throne at the far end of the hall, the Imperator stands when the Crown Prince comes in. And as he enters, there is as is often the case, there is a applause that breaks out among the members of court, in part in recognition of how favored Prince Hugo is by his father and his family. Also, future second up. Never a bad thing to, shine the boots of the future Imperator. As you guys approach... Oh, go ahead.
Griffith will look around to see if anybody remains seated when the Imperator stands up. Just...
As far as you can tell, no. Everybody stands up. Everybody does the same kind of grand welcome.
Because with his training and knowledge and ability, normally people who don't stand up when the Emperor does, they're like favored guests or something.
Yeah. So as he makes his way up, you find that the years of training that Prince Hugo has received bears him well. He walks precisely as he should to the end of the hall, bows precisely the way he should, and takes his place on his knees at the feet of the Imperator.
Are we at the back or like up at the front with him?
You would be behind him.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But like at the front of the building. Or
correct. You'd be walking down this long hallway. The Imperator would be at right at the end, standing before the throne. Crown Prince Hugo would kneel there, and you guys maybe 2-3 paces back, you would likewise kneel.
Yeah.
You can see the House Guard is here, and there is as is custom, the Imperator's house, or the Imperator's guard numbers 9, 3 humans, 3 dwarves, 3 elves.
Yeah.
And as you, as you stop and go down, Imperator Nicholas says, "My son, you have arrived. Your Imperator has a task that he would have you undertake." And Crown Prince Hugo nods and says, "Of course, my lord. I live to serve." And he says, "Our Imperial Navy lays at anchor in Alterhafen. It lies prepared to venture to Kadzushar." There's kind of a murmuring in the crowd. "I would have you command this Imperial fleet, the Armada, at the head of my delegation." And there's a bit of like, oh, that's a very strange phrasing for an armada going to war. And you can see Hugo also seems a bit prepared, and he says, "Delegation, my lord." And the Imperator raises himself up. "Yes. Your task, Prince Hugo, your mission will be one of peace." There's the whole city's been getting ready for war. As far as you can tell, every major city in the Empire has been getting itself ready for war. And Crown Prince looks up and he says, "Forgive me, my lord, but a mission of peace, And the Imperator says, "I have reached an accord with the sovereign of Kadzushar. The sovereign of Kadzushar has surrendered to our glorious empire. And there's sort of like, a bit of a hubbub going through the crowd. You will be arriving to receive not only the surrender of the sovereign of Kadzushar, but the first in the war tax that they have agreed to pay. We shall have reparations for the years of unrest, and we will have peace between our lands. Oh, there's kind of a, someone calls out in court, Nicholas the Conqueror! And there's sort of like, people are beginning to get cheering and whatnot. You can only see the side of Hugo's face, or the Nicholas says, celebrate this evening. Celebrate everyone. Everyone in the Empire. Peace has come to Grindlehaus. And tomorrow, you will set sail, Prince Hugo, and bring our banner to new lands. And the Imperator then says, I would speak with my son. And the court, whoever the courtier or whatnot in charge of this, the what would it call it? Seneschal, I suppose, says, long live the Imperator, and the whole court calls that out. Prince Hugo stands up and he looks back at you all, and there's a bit of a look of confusion on his face, but he nods to you, and you'll catch up with him presumably at some other time, and then he leaves through a side, and you can see Imperator Nicholas is moving to a side where he has his personal quarters where Prince Hugo will presumably be leaving. And the call once again of the Nicholas the Conqueror calls up from the crowd, and the three of you turn and walk that long walk on your own. It appears there will be no war.
Very strange.
Once you leave the throne room and you find yourself in the courtyard or in the halls of the palace, what you find is that it seems word has spread very quickly, because there is a great deal of celebration going on already. It's like a wave of relief and jubilation, and they were able to triumph in a war without spending a single or shooting a single bullet, expending a single crown, or losing a single life. How do you three feel about it?
Mixed bag of emotions for Griffith. Still has to deal with the open sky and the water, but it's easy to do that when you're not expecting combat. But something just doesn't fit right with him. Doesn't know how to put his finger on it. Seems too convenient.
Name a nation who surrendered without a loss, without a battle, without a fight, and agreed to make payments. Wait, I'll wait until you can find one in any history book and name it. There's been no threat brought.
Well,
unless this is a ruse to force them to surrender. I don't know.
Imperator is a great man, but I am fearful.
Well, I feel our task has not changed. We still must guard Prince Hugo and
Yes,
protect him.
it is likely that Prince Hugo will be with his father for the remainder of the day and likely the evening. If you wish to get a sense of what other folks in the military may know, there is but one place that you can likely find a number of celebrating and perhaps even loose lips on account of celebratory beverages. And that would, of course, be the Officers Club.
Yes. That sounds excellent.
We were ordered to celebrate.
We should go and celebrate with.
We were ordered to celebrate.
Yeah, we should. And I think the Officers Club is a fine choice of food today.
Indeed.
Griffith will like elbow Victor. You didn't take a vow of not inebriation, right?
Of course not.
Then, why don't we do this, guys? We'll take our mid-session break right now, and then we'll come back and see what you're able to learn at the Officers Club. I'm going to quickly get that page set up before I go, but you guys can feel free to leave. For those listening at home, we'll all be back in about 5 minutes. I'm just going to get this set up first. Let's see, is that the one I want? I believe so. All right. So then, for those listening at home, I'll be back in about 5 minutes.
One of the last things that hasn't been unpacked yet is the box of chainmail stuff. I just realized that. I'm like, oh crap! I just have a couple of containers that have some rings in them, but like everything else is all sealed box still. I'm like, I know what I'm doing tomorrow.
Nice.
All right. Let me bring you guys the Officers Club. Oh, it never gets a hero point as well.
Oh, right.
I start rolling some dice. Yeah, 3.
So, tell me how often you guys feel that you are here, and how familiar you might be with the staff that are here.
Well, I would think Griffith is here quite often, just because dwarves, alcohol, and he probably brings some reading material in his off time.
Yeah.
He's not above a good brawl every now and then, but he is a regimented officer, so he kind of keeps it on a on the level.
Okay.
Say first name basis with the servers.
Okay. It would be what do they call them? Not orderlies. I can't remember what they call the chefs in the military. But in any event, because it would be all members of the military who would be serving you here as well. Nyala, Victor, what about you guys?
I don't think I would frequent here very often. Mostly when I'm coming to find Griffith, probably, and then when I am here, he probably sucks me in for a bit. But
this would be the place where people would be celebrating like promotions or certain events or holidays, or commemorating battles, that kind of stuff, as well as the everyday if you're here for lunch, every day, or you're here for dinner, you're entitled to be here. RHIP, as they say. Nyala, what about you?
I don't think Nyala has been here very much at all, even less so than Victor. It's not a place that she's overly comfortable with. Drunken soldiers and even officers can be a little crude, and she would prefer the quiet halls of a holy place.
Okay. So then, as you guys walk in, Nyala, this may be precisely what you expect. Griffith, this is much more active than what you've seen. It is very busy. It is people celebrating as if it is the end of a war. Like, it is truly the words seem to have spread pretty quickly through the corps, through the officer corps, that the war was effectively over, and everybody still is treating it as if it's it was a victory, which it was. If they surrendered, that is a victory. If they're paying reparations, war reparations are getting your bite of the apple without having to pay for it. So
a lot of people are celebrating lives they thought were going to end, and when the emperor orders a celebration, I mean,
most
people have
definitely
less excuse not to.
Well, and as you guys are making your way in here, there are 3 faces that I will point out as being ones that you would recognize, and each of you knows one of them, and I'll let you guys tell us which knows which. So our first, I'll show you all 3 first, and then you can tell us afterwards. First, there is another Kriegsaberer, a war wizard. That is an elf, whose name is Otharion. And Otharion looks very much like he does in this illustration. Shirt wide open. I mean, this is an officer's club. You should still be keeping some measure of respectability and whatnot. You respect the uniform, even if you don't respect the man or the woman or non-binary. But what he seems to have cast it all off. But it's not a look of like disdain, it's a look of relief on his face. And he seems to be talking to someone who you do not know. And that is someone who is not in a uniform. Though you recognize the unusual species. The person he is talking to is a Strix, a winged abhuman species that's most often found in the north. The second person that you would recognize is another Kaplan. This is a dedicated Kaplan, though, not a Kaplan Lieutenant. And his name is Human Kaplan Benson Hodel. And the final person, he seems to be talking amiably amongst the people he is surrounded by. He seems likewise relieved, but he's got a glint in his eye. He seems to be talking about something. And he's in not an agitated, but like a engaged kind of way. The final, you are easily able to pick up because of the roar that he gives when someone tries to get too close or otherwise engage with him. And that is the dour. Now, this is Second Lieutenant Vag Emberhart, a dwarf and an artillerist. He is one of the masters of the artillery corps. They would be very heavily engaged in the coming conflict if it was to go forward. Now, did I put his name down? Did I save it?
Vag Emberhart.
Yeah, I can't remember if I...
Yep, I see it.
Do you?
Yeah, underneath them.
Oh, that's weird. I don't see it. There you go. I see it now.
Roll20's having that weird update issue.
Yeah, strange stuff. So, there is War Wizard, Otharian, Kaplan Benson Hodel, and Vag Emberhart, who are in here. Who do you think each of you has some kind of connection or, whatnot with one of those? Does anyone wish to tell us who their connection is with and how you wish to engage with them if you'd like to?
I can see Griffith having a connection to two of them. Orthorin because of the War Wizard thing, and then Vag because of the firearms and whatnot, maintaining his airman weapon.
Yeah, it could very well be a commonality, or it could be a difference. Like there's all sorts of people who come across different people within the Corps. So
yeah, I was gonna say, what if Nyala knew Othorian and you knew him through her? Like, when he comes around, you guys talk magic stuff, but she also talks to him just.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and an elf, so yeah, that'd probably be a good connection for Nalia.
Yeah, they know some people together.
Okay.
You said Kaplan Benson? Was it what's a chaplain?
Yes, Kaplan is a chaplain. So Kaplan Benson Hodel.
Might be a good one for Victor.
Yeah, so maybe that's who I know. Yeah.
Okay. I'll take Emberhart.
Okay, so the three of you walk in, and you are all three often together all the time. The reason I wanted to set some potential people for you to talk to is because you probably enjoy some time away from one another as well. And when you're in the big crowd here, it's perhaps easy to make your way over. Who would like to go first with who they are speaking to?
Yeah, who breaks away first? Who is the most eager to talk to someone other than the three of us?
Okay, well, see you later, guys.
And Ayala, you are heading to talk to Othorian?
Yeah. Hello, my friend. How do you feel about this?
He turns, and he sees you, and big smile on his face, and he says, Nyala!
Authorian.
We so rarely see you here.
Yes, but it's great to see you, even though we're here.
It is wonderful to see you as well. I was hoping to share the news too. Forgive my manners. This is Shazka. And Shazka Strix turns to you and says, I am honored. He says, forgive me, Shazka, I do not recall your status, but Shazka is part of the delegation that came from our new partner, from the sovereignty itself.
Oh, that's wonderful. Great to meet somebody from such esteemed partnership. And I think she wants to do a sense motive.
Yeah, go right ahead.
If he's really as excited about this conversation as
if Shazka is, or if Authorian is.
Yeah, she's trying to read Shazka.
Sure.
Authorian's clearly happy that this is not going to be...
Okay. You satisfied with that?
No, I'm going to reroll that.
Okay.
As well.
He's just waiting to use up some hero points, is what he's trying to do.
Got to make room for that new one.
Yeah.
There's a really neat mechanic in Tales of the Valiant where you get luck as you play along, and then if you have 5 luck and you get 1 more point, you have to roll 1d4 and it resets to that amount. It's a neat kind of you got to use it. So Shazka says with a slight, there's an unusual accent that, if I can't remember, do you have any knowledge history training whatsoever?
Not history, only nobility.
Nobility you might notice. So his accent definitely is from outside of the Empire, but you're not certain necessarily aware. He's unusual looking for a Strix, though. Like from what you recall, they typically have darker wings and such. Okay. And he has these unusual tattoos on his body too, and the way he moves, the ease with which, maybe that's just indicative of his kind, but it reminds you of Victor's almost dancer-like grace. And he shakes your hand and he says, a pleasure to meet you. You are a relative of Othorian? A friend?
Acquaintance.
Othorian laughs and he says, forgive me, Nyala is a friend from the northern regions. And Shazka says, indeed. And Othorian says, I had the pleasure of meeting Shazka as part of the delegation that came. A secret, you see. And for safeties, we had Kriegsaberer assigned to assist with it, but now with peace. Oh, Nyala. With peace coming, I can finally pursue what we had long discussed. And what he has long, Otharion is actually from Ultravault. He is from one of the 3 original cantons that make up the Empire. And you and he have long talked about your homeland because there are found in some regions of that, there are ruins of one of the cultures that came before. The culture is broadly known or referred to as the Azamani, but the Azamani are not one individual species or people. It's thought that they were a variety of different species, and it's thought that their technology was far beyond even what the greatest of the Empire's engineers are capable of producing. Otharion has long been keen to be part of, or long keen to study aspects of it, and he even has with him a relic of the Azamani. Let me show you what that. What's wrong?
Eager to pry the secrets of the past from ruins.
So the sidearm, while you have a revolver, he has a relic of the Azamani age, something that only through like very specialist sages and engineers can maintain. It is something that shoots rather than a pistol or a bullet or a pellet. It fires a beam of light as if it was magic, infusing incredible heat into whatever it strikes. Very deadly. And this is kind of what you would picture it looking like.
Got like a las pistol.
He has the Azamani pistol, and you know he has long desire to go and study there. He may not look it, but he is considerably older than, or no, he may not look it, he's a little rougher looking, but he's around your same age as well. He just has seen a lot more conflict and direct combat than what you have. Mm-hmm. And what you realize when you're talking to him too, his insignia, the markings of rank, they're gone.
Are you released from service then, now that there will be no war?
He smiles and he says, "My war is over. I have no doubt there will be more in future, and glory to be found for those who seek it. I wish..." And Shazka here. Shazka, tell them they also, in their lands, have what we would call signs of the Azamani.
Oh.
But they do not call them that. And Shazka smiles and says, "The Tharoon." And he says, "Tharoon? Would you have thought of such a thing? The Tharoon?"
No, that's amazing. So there's more places to unearth information and study and learn.
Indeed.
You'll be free to do that as much as you want now.
As much and as long as I can. And with the coming of peace, we can travel as well and share from one another's knowledge. Think of the secrets, pieces of puzzles spread across the globe that we have yet to have in order to put together the full picture of the Azamani or the Tharoon or whomever they called themselves. Now is the time of study. I can lay down my weapons. I can make allies of former enemies and learn.
You might want to keep a sharp blade with you. You never know when you might go into a ruin and expecting it to be abandoned, and there's a large beast of some kind, I'm sure. She laughs.
She laughs, and he pats his saber, and he says, This is a marking of my station."
She's
and
not.
He gestures, and there's a kind of a
with his magic, he doesn't need a weapon.
Exactly. He makes a little multicolored flame in his hand. He says, "I will be able to keep myself safe, and my new friend will be watching my back." And Shazka says, "And I would be honored to do so."
And so she's trying to read Shazka every time he says he'll be honored. And does he seem to be genuine?
You're reading it as genuine, yeah. He's not as loquacious as what Otharion is. He's not as, as much of a chatterbox. But Shazka does seem like, if you engage with him at all, he seems to be genuinely happy with the outcome of this.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. The last thing that Otharion does before we'll leave your scene is he, as you're talking Wentworth, he talks about having a toast with you, and then he, at some point, will insist on you taking something from him. There is an Azamani belt. It is an incorporation of the Azamani relic in with a belt that is designed to hold a weapon. He has no need for this any longer. And it would work perfectly well to keep your device. There is some property to it, but he says it is unreliable. It is more a memory and a marking of, I offer you the past for hope for our future.
Okay. I accept this gracious gift. I wish I had something to give you in parting.
You will be carrying the burden of the next war to come, and you allow me to lay mine down. That is sufficient.
Okay, well, I'm trying to figure out how elves would, like Italians kissing on the cheek or something like that. But I think it's more just a hands on the shoulders and then leaning in, but there's no kissing involved. It's just a...
Yeah. So they are very... Otharion is very, very grateful. He seems thrilled. Shazka seems... He's unusual, but, I mean, he's also a civilian in an officer's club, so it's perhaps a little unusual. You get the sense that Shazka has traveled quite a bit as well, if he talks a bit. Anything else you wish to ask about Otharion or discuss with Otharion?
I would love to ask Shazka about the markings on his body as to do they do something? Are they wards of some kind? These are...
Well, actually, you know what? Why don't you give us... do you have knowledge religion? Did I neglect to give you that at all?
I'm just going to see. I do not have knowledge religion.
Okay. Do you want to swap a point from one thing into that? Your choice. You don't have to, but if you put 1 point in, I think you get +3 automatically on top of the 1 rank. That would give you your 4 plus whatever your intelligence bonus is.
How about a point out of ride?
Yeah. Yep, that works.
So drop ride down to 2 or down to 1?
Yep, and then just add 1 into religion. Make sure it's marked as a knowledge religion. Make sure it's marked as a class skill.
Is that like the check mark?
Yeah, I think so. Then go ahead and give us a knowledge religion check. So it is one of the markings on him. It seems to be the sacred script of one of the gods of the sovereignty.
So that I would know that to start.
Yeah, you would know that to start. You don't know quite what god it is, but
yeah. She's like, I may be incorrect, but the markings that you wear on your skin, are they a script of a religion of some kind? They seem familiar to me.
Your eyes are wise, and I note you bear the symbol of one of your gods as well.
Indeed.
These are the markings of my order, and we are sworn to the West Wind.
Oh. I'm a daughter of the Matron of Night. Keeper of the folk who have very little.
I understand your people believe that it is the Matron of Night who shelters those at risk in night? The weak?
Yeah, weak, at risk, in need. They all kind of... The scriptures are not so specific. It depends on who you talk to and how they're interpreted.
Indeed. There's different philosophies among our peoples as well, but all believe the West Wind is that which carries you farther.
If you're away, would it not carry you home?
It would indeed.
Okay.
And so the West Wind has brought me here. And to now, with this peace between our peoples, we are now able to... We are able to go travel further than what the barriers of our empires had set.
Interesting. Well, may the matron of night protect you while you're here amongst our people.
And may the west wind carry you safely to your destination, wherever that may be, my lady.
To the bathroom.
Okay. Then anything else you wish to ask of either Shazka or Atharian?
Nope. Cut and scene. All right.
Nice. Who would like to go next?
Well, I have a suggestion. I think that Victor, he doesn't come here often. He doesn't drink much. So I imagine that he's like ordered his drink and he sort of very quietly sips it. And Griffith would be trying to talk with him. And, it's all like one word answers and like, mm-hmm. And like, he kind of keeps to himself. And so I just kind of see Griffith getting bored sitting with him right away. And like, seeing Vag or someone having a great time, and he would sort of just naturally move off to go talk to someone who's much more interesting.
Vag is most definitely not having a good time, and he is most definitely on his own and as far away from everybody else as he can be.
Yeah,
in
and
a
that is
packed
probably
place.
why Griffith finds Emberheart very interesting, because a fellow dwarf's not having a good time and Victor's not cooperating, so he's going to leave him to wallow, go help a dwarf out.
Okay.
So we'll scoot off of the table, huff down from the seat, make a loud noise getting down, and then stomp over to Emberheart.
Okay. So as you get closer, I think Vag first, before he's you can see he is just staring at his mug, and perhaps uncharacteristically for a stereotype dwarf, he is not drinking it. Would you give us a sense motive check, please?
Absolutely.
Hero point that?
Burn.
I will do that, yeah.
Oh, everyone got another hero point at 932.
Ugh.
Nat one.
Okay.
So
I was just going to say, it's not going to drink itself.
it's exactly. It seems as if you may have mistaken that he needs a good cheering up. What do you say?
Exactly that. It's not going to drink itself.
And he says, and he just shouts, suddenly he says, leave me alone, I'm not going. And he sees it's you, Griffith, and he says, you. Ironbreaker,
Emberheart.
are you here to celebrate with these fools?
Celebrate. I suppose, but not really in a celebratory mood.
No.
Imperator's orders, I suppose.
Why's your forge cold? All these others think we've got peace in our time.
I have suspicions, but wars never settle so easily.
As soon as you say suspicions, his eyes lock with you. Suspicions.
Yeah.
Perhaps
Someone's
you can have
hiding
a seat
something.
then.
Well, if I have your permission, then, and he'll hop up on the
Aye.
stool with his legs dangling.
He looks over in his conspiratorial way, as if to try and make sure no one's listening, and listening, and then leans in.
He'll lean into it and says, "It's just Threx, isn't it?" He'll look over.
Tell me of your suspicions, Ironbreaker.
Nothing as hard as iron to give you, but I didn't think a land of magic creatures and the like would surrender so easily to our tech and our steel.
Oh. Do you know more?
What I know is limited and under oaths, if I knew, but
Oh,
I don't believe this war is over. I think it's pausing.
Well, then, would you find it curious? He's slurring a little bit, so you think that perhaps even for a dwarf, he has indulged perhaps a little too freely. I suppose we're all bound by our oaths. So you've not heard then about the Zushari incursion that
have
slaughtered
not.
its way hundreds of kilometers in to our lands.
No, this has been hidden from my ears.
hidden from many. Not a front. A dagger stabbed into the Empire. Curious that the army would so fail and our lines would collapse at that one weak point. They'd move theirself in so far inland. And then suddenly to surrender.
That is concerning.
Indeed.
Do you think it was a weak point in the iron, or did somebody intentionally put a flaw there?
What I know is, while we've not had a full-scale conflict with them, 7 of 10 encounters with them saw our defeat. We were throwing everything we had at them. He leans in. But those in the know, they ken that this was not a war we were likely to win. You can smell the booze coming off of him, so...
Surely we have the numbers, if not the firepower.
He's not an enemy like any we faced before. But no,
Well,
nobody wants to hear that. Surrender and victory. It's all that goes to mind.
have you heard of the announcement in the throne room?
Oh, indeed. Why do you think
But,
these fools are celebrating?
That my charge and I and my 2 companions are going with the prince to accept their surrender. You've not heard this?
Hugo's being sent by...
The Imperator himself.
If I was you, I would plan. This has all the markings of a trap.
I agree.
There is more moving in the wheels beneath this world, and that fool there, and he points at Otharian and Shazka, welcomes one of them in here. We say we've got victory, but they're walking around like they own this place. Mark my words, Griffin. This is no day for victory. No day to celebrate.
The rest of them aren't as long in the knowledge as we dwarves are. Elves are flighty and trust sky people like the Strix more easily.
My entire corps, my comrades, they all celebrated as well.
Was there something in the booze?
Mark my words, Griffith. This will not end well. Tragedy awaits.
Can I ask you to do a favor for me then?
Aye?
Keep your forge hot and make sure there's something here when we come back.
He stops and kind of thinks about it. Why don't you give us a diplomacy check?
No! Come on, dice gods.
That's what they put 20s on these dice. Come on. You
I'll
satisfied
spend
with
a
that?
point. It's even worse.
Okay. I think, so this isn't a rule in PF2. I kind of think that we take the rule from M&M and be, like, if your second rule, not that we're going to add 10 to it, but if you spend a hero point and the second one's worse, just take the better of the two.
Oh, like advantage.
Like
in
advantage,
text
exactly.
vision?
Yeah, because that is, but like whatever it is, the way the rules are in PF2. But it does always suck when someone rolls like a shit number and then rolls dog shit afterwards. The one exception will be if you re-roll a nat 1, that'll trump everything.
Okay.
Okay.
That's cool.
So he kind of looks at you, and you keep yourself alive to return then.
Sending me out on a ship in the sea. Be a
Throw the
miracle if I don't
sea.
drown. I don't float. Vag.
Well, if you're about to drown, perhaps we should drown our sorrows first.
Yeah, and he'll just clink it with him, and yeah.
And he goes back to just glowering. Anything else you wish to discuss with Vag?
If he's willing to take a look at my musket axe and make sure it's in working order before we leave, he'd really appreciate it.
I mean, he's an artillerist, not a gunsmith, so it's not really something he would be looking into.
He's probably one of the few dwarves that I would trust to take a look at it anyway.
It might be, but he, what do you call it? I mean, for one, in his state, he is well and truly fucked right now.
God, now.
So there's that. And also he is like, there is like long range artillery that would, so that's what the stuff that he is in charge of.
So gotcha.
Exactly. He's not, this is like cannons and, mortars. That's the kind of stuff that he would be in charge of, as opposed to like just, things. If you want someone, it would be someone in his, in the core, though, could take a look at it once again. Okay. And he would also compliment you on it's a beaut as well.
Yeah. Yeah, he takes, he doesn't use it often, but he takes time to clean it every day and polish up the, it's one of the few things he owns that has like wooden inlays.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Anything else you wish to talk to Vag about?
No, I think he'll stay there and keep him company and grumbling with him, and maybe throwing glances at the Strix. Not mean ones, but just...
Okay.
Not saying he's racist, he's just a little xenophobic.
Yeah. One, Nyala is also speaking to... There are Strix that live in the region that Nyala's from as well. So, but this guy, the white hair, white wings, that is very unusual.
Yeah.
Victor, how is it? I think you recognize when you've been left alone. You recognize Benson.
Yeah, I think he sort of grudgingly, he'll switch, spots from like being alone. Maybe sort of getting crowded out. People are like, are these chairs being used? And he thinks they're going to sit with them, and they like take the chairs away. One of those scenes.
Yeah. So maybe if he isn't going to get up, Benson could come to him too, right? Like Benson could go up and order a drink, and then be like, Victor?
Yeah. Probably eventually.
Yeah.
Kaplan.
It's unusual to see you here.
We've been ordered to celebrate, and here I am celebrating.
Of course, leave it to you to be forced to celebrate. And he looks at you. Tell me the truth. Would you be here if you weren't forced to?
Of course not.
And he laughs. Tell me no more. I cannot handle any further truth this evening.
Yes.
I hear that will you be traveling with Prince Hugo?
We're set to leave tomorrow, I believe.
Is a remarkable posting.
Yes.
Historic times. Tell me. And he leans in. I promise not to repeat it.
Of course.
Do you know anything that led to the change of our détente with the sovereignty?
The first I heard was tonight in the, would we call it the throne room?
The Imperial throne room, sure.
Yeah, the Imperial throne room. I was shocked when I heard the words come from the Imperator.
As I hear were nearly all.
I feel very uneasy about it.
Do you know if Did you hear from anyone in court about the stirring of dragons?
No.
He leans on the bar. What I hear is that on the eve of war, the sovereignty found dragons stirring in the hinterlands. And not simply one beast or one ancient one, flocks of them stirring in the hinterlands. And when the Imperator made clear that they were intending on this conflict, that the prospect of fighting a two-front war, us on one side and wings of dragons on the other, that the sovereignty took the easier and more survivable route and asked for the Imperator's help. I am curious if Prince Hugo travels to take charge of not one, but two armada to fight the dragons.
That would be quite a turn.
Indeed.
Well,
As context, dragons are kind of... There definitely exist dragons in this world, but very rarely do you see one. They're also a very individualistic creature. What he's talking about is something from an age of myth or nonsense.
right. It's fantasy to me.
Yeah. Like,
I'm almost playing it off like, yeah.
Yeah. And he's studying you. You've heard nothing of this. No word of dragons.
No. Were you in the children's nursery when you heard this rumor?
Oh, I have friends. There are many who come to... and he straightens himself up. As a captain of Solar Invictus, there are many who come to offer to unburden themselves to me, including members of the Signal Corps. And as such, what he refers to as a Signal Corps, that would be the Imperial Army's espionage unit. And you have...
Well, I'm sure that the prince will be hearing all about it, and we shall hear all about it once we set sail, if this is true.
And then, well, will you at least join me for one toast?
I will.
And he raises his glass. To the end of an age, to the beginning of an age. And he offers his glass.
And to dragons.
And to dragons, indeed. And he tosses it back. I will not impose any longer on your solitude among the teeming hordes, Victor.
What, me and all my friends here?
I wish you luck in discharging your duty without injury. And
Thank
good
you.
luck in the sovereignty. He will
And
turn.
I hope your rumors are wrong.
Well, the alternative is then they simply surrendered for no reason. A mystery is still a mystery. And I will take either.
I liked it when they were being duplicitous, not when they are seeking our aid versus a creature such as this.
He puts his hand on you. May Invictus dawn in your heart. And he turns and rejoins the people he was talking to before. You have a sense now of what he may have been eagerly gossiping about among the people there, because he goes back into the same kind of
Oh, yeah.
very, very engaged, chat.
I feel like he was just hoping to get more from me to bring back to the gossip, more than he wanted to tell me about it.
That is definitely one of the favored things in the Officers Club is exchanging war stories, of course. A very close second is exchanging gossip.
Mm-hmm. Part of the reason I don't like it here.
Yeah. Anything else that you guys wish to do in the Officers Club with each other, with the other folks that are in here? Just because they wanted to set the stage with each of those conversations does not mean you guys could not speak to anyone else here. Anything you wish to do?
It's a fairly interesting round of discussions, and we don't want to sort of fight in the Officers Club. That pretty big repercussions there.
Oh, Griffith, you act as if it's the first time you would have caused a fight in the Officers Club.
Well, not the night before I'm going to get shipped out. That could cause trouble.
I mean, I think Victor's waiting to see if either Griffith or Jala are gonna rejoin him, and I think if he sees they're not, he wouldn't hang around much longer.
No, I think Nyala is done talking to Atharian after she gave him that quick embrace, and she's looking for the others to see if they're,
Yeah, I think Griffith's
still
in the
around.
same mind. He's gonna order just a round for everybody, just because if he's not going to war, he's got a bunch of coin that he's not going to spend on warfare stuff. And then he's going to meet up with the other two and kind of. Amberheart told me about this. Have you heard about this?
Sure. Well, why don't we do this? So perhaps there is a moment where Victor has been sitting around. He looks over at Griffith, and Griffith, is still talking to Vag, and you look back over at Nyala, and you have that exchange look of like, okay, let's get the,
Yeah, like enough celebrating, yeah.
and then you look back over at Griffith, and Griffith, perhaps you have finished getting another drink for Vag. You look over and you see Victor he gives you the sign of like, let's get the fuck out of here.
go.
Yeah. So order around for everybody in Vamoose, so it's a
Everyone
distraction.
in the club?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm considering it's not going to be the best stuff, but yeah, everybody.
Yeah, I think you may misunderstand what they will do at the Officers Club. If you're ordering for someone of higher rank, they get to pick what they're getting then.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And they're not going to order cheap stuff.
Is there anybody here of higher rank than me?
Pretty much everybody.
Oh, pretty much everybody. You guys are lieutenant,
We're
which is like
non-military.
one of the
Screw
first
these
two.
guys
There's second lieutenant, first lieutenant. That is the lieutenant is the
okay.
very
Well, what I'll
lowest
do
level
is
of officer.
I will go to the bar and say, here's this much gold. Give them whatever they want. I'm out of here.
Okay.
First come, first serve.
All right, then I will. I'll just do this. Actually, move these guys down here, and then you guys.
Screw that.
Here, let's. Here we go. Let's do this
I
then.
need some
Let's.
fresh air.
So take note of your hero points, guys. 313, and let's step outside into the streets of Volbergstad. And it is, you can hear the sounds, while the sound of and the cacophony of the celebrations in the Officers Club are obviously we're very loud in that confined quarters. When you step outside, you can hear there are celebrations all across the city. Volbergstad. It seems as if every place is celebrating. There is sounds of people laughing. There is, there's even, fireworks going off and of both mundane and magical varieties everywhere. And as the three of you step outside, none of you have shared, what one another knew. So just based on the conversations that you had with the individuals that you spoke to, what mood are each of you in? Mood is each of you in, I think.
Nyala is hopeful. She seemed suspicious at first, but with the conversations that they had and the genuine desire for peace that she, kind of got from our winged friend. I think she's a little more believing that maybe this isn't as terrible as we were anticipating. She doesn't know all of the politics, but hey, peace is better than war, and so yeah, she's trying to enjoy the moment, even though part of her is like, this just doesn't seem right. You don't get peace this way.
Nyala seems unburdened, stepping out. What about Victor and Griffith?
Well, Victor is eager to hear more from the other two.
Mm-hmm. Griffith, what about you?
Griffith's mood doesn't teeter much. I mean, he was still a little bit suspicious of what the festivities and whatnot, and things changing so quickly. So he's more suspicious about what's going on, but he's determined to face it head on anyway. So he's like, "Well, you guys hear anything interesting? I did." Apparently some enemy forces stuck a dagger in our back flanks, and I think that spurred on the surrender.
Enemy forces attacked us?
Yeah.
Where?
Rear flank.
Not the rear flank. Sorry. Oh, so what he was describing, just to put it in plain English, I guess, what he was describing is that some small force punched through apparently the defenses between the two empires, pushed it through like hundreds of kilometers inland, only days before this, and then suddenly stopped. And then like a day or two later is when the Imperator announces, announces that the sovereignty has surrendered.
Yeah. So he'll say
an unknown force did this? Or one of them?
One of their forces, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so Griffiths explains that he thinks it was this big show of force that kind of forced a resolution to happen. And he's not so sure that we'll be going there for a peacekeeping mission as much as to cover for something else, which is probably why the Imperator wanted to speak to Hugo privately.
Well, I did hear of another reason, but sounds like a fairy tale.
To tell you about dragons?
Yeah, ha.
Oh, you're serious?
Yes. The Kaplan mentioned that
stories about them lighting dwarven forges in ages past.
Yes. Several dragons, as a matter of fact. So what, they'd be on the other side of the sovereign lands?
The citizens of the Empire would refer to the places that sort of are not really well known or explored as the hinterlands. And the hinterlands would include the far side of the sovereignty.
Yes, from the hinterlands. Multiple dragons. And
so the sovereignty is caught between us and another mythical force.
That is what the Kaplan said.
And we have problems defending our own borders, and somehow peace just happens out of thin air.
Why I'm suspicious.
So
none of it makes much sense.
Are we leaving the Armada behind and just taking the flagship, or?
No, that would be suicide. We wouldn't do that. I hope not.
Why would you need the Armada if you've already sued for peace?
Anybody who studies war history would be foolish if they did that.
Well, the rumor that the Kaplan heard is that we are not heading out for peace. We are heading out to join their Armada and take these dragons head on. Together, united.
So it's still war then. It's just war against another foe.
That would be the way I would put it.
Well, if dragons were indeed, massing in such numbers, they would pose a significant threat if legends were true.
I'd rather fight the sovereignty.
Yeah, me too.
That's what I told the Kaplan.
Not that I'm itching to fight anybody, but dragons? I think, I'd rather fight the sovereignty, I think.
like again in the context of a game, it's you're capping everybody in the world. The most powerful people in the world are 6th level.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like this is if there was multiple dragons, 2 dragons can level a city.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of a dragon kicked to death?
I'll trip it. I'll try tripping it again.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the magics of the sovereignty will come into play and help level the field.
We have to hope so. I mean, our technology is pretty good, but I don't know how old dwarven tech will hold up against dragons.
Where's the prince? I'd like to get a better idea of what is going on.
It's with the Imperator. We won't see him till the morning. Anyway, what
Really?
the Strix tell you? The Sky People guy, the albino one.
Not much. He was part of the delegation that was secretly engaging for peace. Thorian seemed to think that this was a wonderful thing.
Diala seems to be either carrying or wearing something too. And she did not
Yeah,
have
she's probably
before.
got her thumbs in this new belt that she's wearing and just kind of holding
Where'd
it.
she get the belt?
Oh, yes. A parting gift. Lotharian's leaving the military, and it's some Azamonian.
Yeah, Griffith,
No?
you would know that too. Like, of course it's Azamani. That's got to be, that is a priceless relic that she's got.
Somebody gave you a relic, and did I hear you say you were wearing it?
Is
Yeah.
that an engagement gift?
No.
Ha ha ha.
No. It's a parting gift between old friends.
That is half a kingdom, probably, was parting gift.
Well, maybe I can afford a kingdom that doesn't fight in the war then.
Yeah.
Shall we go ahead to our homes for the night? Or home? I don't know. Do we?
Yeah, you
Have
probably
a
barracks. Victor would probably stay near the nearest where the Crown Prince Hugo lives.
Yeah.
Griffith likewise would be like, I think all 3 of you would be households in the wing of the palace where the Crown Prince lives.
Yeah.
The 3 of you would have quarters in there for sure.
Because
Yeah.
he would probably have access to us whenever he wants, right? Like, so
Precisely.
we'd have quarters, and if he decides to drop in, then it's like, hey, oh, sorry, yeah, wake
I
up.
could imagine we had a like a suite where there's a common room and we just have each of our own different rooms.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think my room, I would have close access to the prince as far as like, if
Yeah,
there's something happening, I'm not like far away.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's. I think I'm going to need to think about this and.
What's to think about? We go with our prince, we defend him, and we slay our enemies.
Yes, exactly that. I'm going to need to think about dragon slaying and such.
That's just fancy talk. We'll have to see if we actually come across one.
There.
I'm sure we will hear in the morning.
I'm gonna go see if my artillery friend has dragon slaying bullets. You might get a laugh out of that.
Are you going back into it? He's
No.
Okay. Is there anywhere you guys would like to stop or go in town before you head back, or like now? I'm assuming there is also a. So you said it was the Night Sovereign,
Yeah, the matron of night.
Matron of Night. Forgive me,
That's
Matron.
right. I was looking at some of you mentioned Pathfinder deities, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, so for those listening at home, one of the things we talked about before coming on is that we're going to adopt, we're basically taking kind of a remix approach to Pathfinder stuff, because Pathfinder's got so many cool names and gods and places and whatnot. For some parts of the campaign or the adventure, I suggested we just steal stuff and rename it or repurpose it as whatever we need. Do you have a... It could just be also that she's referred to as the Matron of Night.
Yeah, I think that's.
So there could be perhaps like if it is a matron night, perhaps this is the time when alms or whatnot are given, and people, homeless people or whatever, are taken in by the church. services probably would be held at night as well.
Like a reskin of Desna, Goddess of the Stars and Dreams.
Well, so less a matter, like you can absolutely just take it and adopt it in whole cloth, but you also feel free to take what you want and leave what you want.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Right? Because like...
Yeah, like I made up the edict of protecting the weak and the helpless. Kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
And so yeah, we'll just kind of make it up as we go. Yeah.
Griffith is not so much a particularly religious guy as he follows the Dwarven pantheon. So, he doesn't pay homage to any one particular god.
So he's heading back. Okay.
Yeah, head home.
Okay. The Crown Prince, Victor, you will find is not there. When you return, do you wish to set up until he returns, or will you go to sleep at one point trusting that you will hear him when he comes back?
Yeah, I think I'm probably used to waking up, or, not exactly sleeping with one eye open, but that kind of idea.
Well, there are two of us. We could take watches.
I don't know, do elves reverie, or do they sleep in this game?
I think Reverie is a 5e thing, but I can't remember.
Yeah, it's more of Dungeons and Dragons versus Pathfinder.
Yeah, elves. No, you sleep like other folks.
Sleep like normal people?
Mm-hmm.
You need less sleep, but you do sleep.
Then I will just sleep.
Okay. Anybody dream tonight?
Oh, yeah, Griffith, he's like fanciful talks about dragons in the sea and the sky, and he's having a nightmare with dragon attacking them in the ship.
Does Griffith have, does he just have bad dreams, or does he have any dreams with portent to them?
I just think he's just having a bad dream.
Okay. If he's a warrior, there's no doubt he has plenty of horrific things to think about. What about Nyala and Victor?
I don't think she sleeps that well or that heavy. I think she's just kind of half waiting for the prince to show up and tell him what the hell is really going on. But there's no dreams. It's just kind of a really light sleep.
You will know that all of your belongings and whatnot, all the things, you knew this was coming, deployment was coming, so your valises, your things or whatnot have been sent ahead a week or so ago in anticipation that you'll attend the Vault Arcane, and the teleportation gate will be used to move you to Alterhofen, where you will take charge of the fleet.
Yeah. How'd Victor sleep?
I feel like Victor is one of these people that really lives through his dreams. He's sort of the opposite of what he is in everyday life, like he has lots of dreams of like being a family man and, being a bard and like talking and singing all the time and being gregarious. Like he's very like the opposite of himself when he dreams. He sort of like lets out all of that aspects of himself. A lot of vivid dreams and
The vow of truth doesn't hold place in your dreams.
No, well,
lie to yourself all the time.
Totally, yeah. He doesn't have to tell the truth in his dream. Yeah.
Did Victor willingly become a monk?
Yeah, I think so, but I think he didn't know what it would all entail until it was like, far enough down the road that it was like, that he felt committed. I think that he might have chose a different life if he had sort of could see himself now. He might have been a different person, but not that he's unhappy with who he is, but just that like he does feel that he is missing out on parts of life that he would have liked to have experienced more.
He has a vow to tell the truth. Are there any other vows that he has taken or that he is expected to take?
Yeah, probably. I think he's probably taken a few vows of, like protect the innocent, So if there's, a child or a holy person or something in trouble, he is sort of honor bound to protect them.
So Victor, it sounds like, is not does not have the possibility of children. But what about Griffith or Nyala? Do either of you have children?
No.
I wouldn't think he would try until he was at least 100 years old. Be like a full, mature dwarf man and all standing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, you got to sow your oats up before that first century hits, right?
Well, yeah, but maybe he has like a dozen kids running around he didn't know about, but that's unusual for a dwarf.
Mm-hmm. So, and Nyala? I saw you shaking your head there.
No, I think she's gone off to explore the world before returning home to the elves and building a family.
Okay. Before you lay down to rest, there were servants who would still be up and would inform you that the intent is to meet in the Vault Arcane tomorrow morning, and then to make that departure. You should not expect to see the Prince Hugo until tomorrow morning as well. So, Victor, you can at least rest easy, knowing that he is being protected by the Imperator's guard.
Excellent.
Morning comes, and the three of you likely dine together. The one empty seat where the Crown Prince normally occupies is empty. What's the mood like at the breakfast table?
Griffith's a little bit somber this morning. Some bags under his eyes, but just a morning little toast will get him picked right up.
Okay.
Can't be drunk on duty, but you can be a little buzzed.
I'm sure that helps with teleportation and sea travel. You should have an extra drink.
I don't think Griffith's ever teleported before, so he might be a little bit nervous.
Yeah, it would be an extremely, extremely, extremely rare occurrence. I don't think that you guys would. You may have done it once or twice before. Actually, just because of your bond, especially with your age, and the length of time you've been with the Crown Prince, there may have been one or two opportunities before.
Well, maybe it's more like he understands the mechanics and the magic behind it. It's just too powerful for him to do him or whatever. But so he knows how it can go wrong.
Oh,
if
totally.
It can. So he's like, courage. Of course, he doesn't share it with the other two.
Okay. Nyala, Victor, how are you guys feeling this morning?
Anxious to hear what's going on. Get moving, get this underway, basically. Whatever it is.
Yeah, impatient. Just, like eating more hurriedly than normal. She's normally, quick eater. She doesn't talk much. She listens to Griffin talking and going on about stuff. And she just eats her food, chews, everything's efficient, and then she's done. She takes a few sips of water and then let's go. And she's like, oh, you guys eat so slow.
Make sure you got all your ammo and whatnot for your revolver. We won't be back here for a while.
That's true. You were hoping to go off to war, expecting, maybe you didn't even give any thought to what would be happening afterwards, but now you're moving to the capital of the sovereignty, apparently.
Yeah.
You think the prince is going to serve as some kind of dignitary diplomat liaison for a brief time there? We got stuck there for a few years.
I truly hope not.
We ready? Let's go.
Yeah, I suppose you'll just scoot down and plop on the floor and let's go.
Okay. So, you guys make your way back to the Imperial Palace. Everyone make sure you've marked what your hero points are.
Yep.
You find awaiting for you in one of the audience halls, there's the Crown Prince. And Hugo is standing at a window looking down at Waldbergstadt. He doesn't seem to be aware that you guys have come in. Everyone gets a hero point, by the way, too. I forgot at 10 o'clock.
Griffith has a momentary feeling of, he's pleased to see Hugo's there, relieved, and then he's stomps over there, not being quiet at all, to go see how he's doing.
Okay. If you stomp over and make yourself aware, he sort of idly looks over and just, oh, Griffith.
Hugo, do you sleep?
I did. He sort of knows not to lie to you. Not much.
Your dreams are better than mine. Dragons, ships, drowning.
He turns dragons.
Yeah, a couple drugs at the officer's tavern is just... I think they've been reading their kids' bedtime stories. And he glances at Victor.
Do you often dream of dragons, Griffith?
No, it's Victor's fault.
Victor?
Well,
Snickering.
the Kaplan last night was sharing tales of...
So just a context, Kaplan would be like, there would be probably hundreds in the military.
Yeah, I know, I just don't remember his name, to be fair.
Oh, sorry. His name.
Benson Hodge.
Or he could be purposely
Benson
not saying
Hodel.
it.
I mean, the Crown Prince would not know that guy at all, so
Right.
you could just say,
Yeah.
like, a friend or something like that.
Right. Yes, a friend. A friend with ears.
I did not know soldiers shared tales of such fancy.
Yes.
Well, you can imagine the rumors are flying around like, oh, why'd we go to peace suddenly? Who knows? And inventing stuff. No.
What was the mood among the officer corps?
Mostly jovial, but celebratory. He glances over at Nyalja. One of her friends was like really, really happy. One of my dwarven friends was sunk in his cups because he couldn't blow something up.
There may yet still be time for that. Nyala?
She's looking around to see if anybody's listening to what the prince is about to say.
Is that a new belt?
Yeah, boyfriend gave it to her.
He's a friend.
Boyfriend?
No.
Boyfriend, you did.
Yes, a friend.
It's
I know.
Is it Azamani?
It is.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. And apparently it does something. I have to figure out exactly how that works.
You didn't tell me it did something. Is it magical?
No, Griffith, the Azamani. It is something like our machines. Just very old and very different. Incredible. Did your friend say what it does?
Did he? I can't remember exactly if he said. He didn't say. No. He said something about holding my items, but he didn't say what it did.
Well, a new gift is an auspicious way to start a new undertaking.
Do you have more details as to what we're doing? Is that a
The
private
Imperator he has shared much information with me, but we have a long journey in which to discuss this. We must get to Alterhofen and see to the Armada setting sail. While we will not be engaging in war, we are sailing as if. I will share more once we are underway, but rest assured I have a clear idea now, and I will confide in you once we are underway.
At least did the Emperor narrow your focus on what you might have to deal with.
Indeed.
Good. It's good to see that all those boulders were taken off your shoulder, and now you just got this one big one.
Griffith, as always, you have a way to make a manageable load seem unmanageable. Then, to the Vault Arcane.
Yeah, might as well get this over with. Hold on to your lunch.
I'm told it is the Krieg Zavarer. They indicated it was safe.
Yeah. It's safe.
He looks at you as if like, I know what that sounds like, but he carries on. When you guys step outside, there is a larger retinue that is accompanying him. There is also a, you find that there is a detachment of 9 members of the Imperator's guard that awaits outside. And he says, oh, my father insisted. He do not take this as any lacking in confidence for your ability, Victor. We will just have more friends on this journey. And you guys can see, once again, 3 elves, 3 dwarves, 3 humans.
Griffith will look at him. He's like, does he recognize them at least?
Yeah,
like, seen them in
probably.
passing? Okay.
Yeah, there's probably some folks that you... I don't think there's anyone amongst the numbers that you're necessarily friendly with. The Imperator's Guard is quite a, specific unit, trained together, raised together, and whatnot. They get kind of like the Mamluks, taken as young and then sort of raised as part of the household, but apart.
Well, Griffith, he'll nod, like, satisfactory at them, and then look up at Hugo and says, it's about time you got your own triad of guards. It means your father's investing much in you and showing due respect.
He nods.
And they'll clap him on the back of his, lower waist, because that's as far as he can reach up.
So, the
3 triads.
You could say a trinity of groups, but
yeah,
3 threes.
There's like 3 triads, 3 of us, and the Crown Prince.
Just so happens that we got a human, a dwarf, and an elf, and a group of 3 of each.
You're right.
Yes, but the Prince makes 13.
A propitious number.
You elves and your numerology. Like, you're going to be telling me astrology and the heavens determine our fates.
So the Vault Arcane is a place that you do not often travel to. I think, Griffith, you definitely have been down here before, in part because they also keep they keep many of the secrets and the relics and whatnot down here. Things from old campaigns, relics or treasures taken from conquering, gifts offered by other nations to the Imperator and his family. And when you get down into all that stuff is sort of stored in vaults and whatnot, and the place where you will be meaning to go is sort of a large domed structure, like a nave in the earth, very deep down, because of all the relics that are in here, all of those pale next to the gate stone that is down here. The magic that it works to allow you to cross such massive distances is unlike any kind of thing that any living wizard can work. And you find as you come down here, I don't have an illustration for it, but if you could picture 9 wizards, but dressed in sort of more like the Victorian secret society type accoutrements, that is what these are down here, and each of them is masked as well. You've heard that in order to operate the gate stone, it needs to be fueled by life. So these are not only knowledgeable and powerful wizards, but ones who are willingly giving up part of themselves and their future to facilitate this travel. Griffith, you would know this. It is therefore not something to be lightly undertaken. The gate stone, though, as you get down, unfortunately, it cannot transport your full group all as one. Therefore, you three will go first, followed by the Crown Prince and his Imperator's Guard.
Interesting.
You cannot see the eyes of any of the priests or the mages who are down here. Wizards, I suppose, in this game. When you get down there, if you spare a look back, why don't you each give us a sense motive check? Nat 1, baby.
Leave it as it lies.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also your focus is probably on what's coming, right? This is just a terrifying thing.
I just out of game, out of character. Does the metaphysics of teleportation work the same in this world as it would in Galarian?
Where there's a chance of mishap?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the whole ethereal plane and back down again to teleport. So yeah, he understands a bit of the metaphysics. He's like, we're going into the big sky. I don't like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this would also be like, it's not a matter of, there would be imperfect knowledge on the functioning of that kind of magic because nobody can cast it. No one could fathom how to put that kind of spell together. So it would be terrifying. Victor, you can tell that the level of Prince Hugo is definitely feeling more anxious, almost as much, if not more so than what he was in the library. Now that he is down here and facing this.
Oh.
And you guys can hear what's that? Griffith's teeth are grinding together.
Yeah, Griffith is just staring at the fucking gate stone on the ground.
I think Niala puts her hand on his shoulder and says, "You're okay, right?"
Oh, solid as stone. And he just stares at it some more.
So, Niall, did you mean the prince or did you mean Griffith?
Griffith.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he leaned down. I was assuming she was bending down over him, so.
Yeah. Victor?
Galarian elves, like, overly tall again?
I don't think so, actually. I think they're short.
No, it's a...
Or are they tall?
Yeah, elves are tall in Pathfinder.
Let's see here.
Yeah.
It's
the token Wizards of the Coasts, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they're generally
fact,
taller than humans and possess a graceful, fragile physique.
Yeah, fun fact in Pathfinder, elves are aliens.
Yeah.
They come from a different world.
Yeah. Victor, what about you? You made, with a 27, that's like you've nailed precisely the mood of Hugo.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull if I have a chance, or I'll make a chance if I don't. I want to pull him aside to have a quiet, like a whispered conversation with him. Sure.
And you have definitely like that kind of things. He turns and puts his hand up to the Imperator's Guard. Turns aside.
Yeah, we take like one stride away or two strides away or whatever, and I look him in the eyes and I say, "Is there something you are not telling me? Now may be the last chance to share what is vital."
There is much we will have to discuss. There is more to this. So much more to this than what it is safe for others to know. I mean, he looks over at the guard and looks back at you. The scope, Victor, is beyond anything I could have conceived.
I don't feel comfortable traveling without you, or traveling in a different group than you through the...
All will be well. These are the finest wizards my father insisted and selected. All will be well.
So I'd probably like take something out at this point, like I don't know, maybe it's like a chain that he wears or something that's like got his holy symbol on it or whatever, or a picture of his parents in it or something that he really treasures.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's got both lockets on it, and he takes it off and he gives it to Hugo.
Yeah.
And he says, "You hold this until I am back by your side."
He looks. For the brief time it shall be, it will be my honor. I will see you soon, Vic.
Okay, then he'll step forward.
Oh, you might be muted, John. In which case we're toast and mo.
I got a sugar gliders chirping in the background. I didn't want to get on the air. He sees Victor running back. He's like, "You're acting like we're gonna die," because he's just whispering.
Yeah. So
Says the guy who was super uncomfortable with the whole thing.
So you guys can see, I think, Griffith seems more focused on something, but Nyala, you would see that Victor has given Hugo something. It's realized the name Victor Hugo. So I'm going to introduce a hunchback character, and then there's going to be a revolution.
If I had an alternate personality, I'd be a little more grotesque and maybe
Oh, your true form.
So Victor, when I should say that for those listening at home, that was not my intent. I've named the NPCs. The players have named their characters. So with that was not a planned homage of any kind.
No, not at all.
He steps back, and the Imperator's guard flank him in kind of a semicircle. The three of you. Who's the first to step onto the gate stone?
Griffith for sure.
no.
maybe they do at the same time.
You're still sweating it out while I step past you.
Okay.
But he's not going to let you take.
So the two of you rush onto it.
She doesn't understand the risk, so she has no idea.
Seems you are the last.
Yeah, that's fine, because I probably am still nervous about this and look back at Hugo one last time, uh-oh.
I've got something for when we're right about to teleport, so let me know when that happens.
Okay. So the someone check my stove. All right. I'm just going to do something here, guys. All right. So the three of you step on to the gate stone, and as you do, the 9 arc wizards move around you, and they begin tracing their arcane symbols, almost like light painting. As they begin to gesture, there are bits of arcane energy that begin forming as a lattice work around you and up from the surrounding gate stone. It begins to encase you, and you would all know this is precisely what happens each time. It's almost like a lattice work that builds up in a geometric design. You can see through it still quite clearly, but the pale blue light that makes up this thing begins to move together. From past experiences, as soon as that lattice work is complete, you will suddenly find yourself at the corresponding location in Alterhafen. Griffith sounds like he wants to say something as the very last thing to Nyala and Victor. Do you have anything that you wish to happen in this scene before you teleport?
I think she just winks at the prince, just kind of playfully fun, no cares.
Okay. Victor?
No, I think he's just maybe he instinctively goes to hold the chain and the teleportation's happening, and then he remembers that he's not wearing it.
Griffith?
So as everything's latticing together and he's just got a few moments left, he just looks at both of his allies and then reaches over and grabs both of them by the belt just so that they're touching. And just as the lattice comes together, his eyes widen and he looks at the belt, and then and that's it. End scene.
And guys,
why are you grabbing my belt? It's a gift.
He's just pulling us close.
Unknown component in the teleportation circle. Why didn't I know till now?
All I see is darkness.
It's not supposed to happen.
Kev's changing the music.
I'm really enjoying this so far.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm very glad you guys are.
Might be tough to go back to Skyrim. Sorry, guys. We're creating canon in a world. This is kind of fun.
I really like Griffith and Nalia and Victor. They're all great characters.
You were all in darkness.
But I have dark vision.
Well, more to the point, the light blindness
No.
from the teleportation. Griffith, because of your dark vision, it is likely you that your light clears first. Your eyes. And what you find is not at all what you've expected. You look around and it's true that this likely was the corresponding Vault Arcane in Alterhofen. But this is a ruin. The floor has collapsed. There's a baleful light coming up. What was a vaulted, dwarven-built understructure is ruined. And it seems as if centuries have passed as the mortar work, the stonework, is as easy to read for you, Griffith, as if it was written on a page. And if we were to be viewing this, this is actually 576 years later.
First word out of his mouth is a dwarven equivalent of fuck.
Yeah. Tell us what everyone's immediate reaction is. The gatestone is still here at your feet. You know these things are capable of, if you have the sufficient knowledge, to act as a transportation to any other connected gatestone. Victor, I think you can only barely see it. Niala has low light vision. You have, I think, nothing. Yeah. So you can just see there are no, what you would be expecting, military. They would expect the members of the Navy. You would expect people here to arrive. Griffith, you are the one who obviously can tell how old and how ill-maintained this stuff is. Griffith, would you give us a perception check as well?
Absolutely. Provided nothing leaps out at us immediately, he's going to start in...
Nat 1. Nat 1. Now, let me ask you this, guys. We are allowing you to re-roll with a hero point and take the better of the two. Seems to me a fair trade-off to that would be, if you get a nat 1, you're stuck with it?
Yeah, I agree with that. That's fine.
So, Griffith, you're just like, I think probably seeing tracers from the, because you said your eyes were wide open, right? Mm-hmm. You're like the binding us, you just cannot fucking see, and you're sprawling and looking around.
Yeah, he's making out like ruinous stuff, but he just really can't focus on anything. And then he just, unless anything happens, he starts, he lets go of the belt and he starts flicking his fingers in a somatic gesture and just dancing lights to light up the area.
What do your dancing lights look like?
They break off like sparks from a forge that whip around and like spiral into geometric patterns as though some god was smithing
that's awesome.
Some dodecahedrons together.
Okay. These things are hanging in the air. You can all clearly see the state of this place. You've all been here before. Alterhofen Old Port has that name because it is one of the oldest naval centers in the Empire.
And it is a ruinous heap.
Where or when are we?
Griffith?
Not where we should be.
You can give us an
Stone cunning.
Knowledge Arcana check if you'd like. Is anyone else trained in Knowledge Arcana? I can't actually remember.
I am trained, yeah.
Oh, I know you are, but I couldn't remember if Niala or Victor were.
Nope.
No, okay.
I have spellcraft.
Keep rolling low. That was a 7.
You can give us a spellcraft check. Yeah, we'll also have a higher difficulty. Are you happy with that, Griffith, or?
I could roll better than that. I'll spend a hero point.
Okay.
Hey, one better.
None better. Nice. Well, that 20 is always that threshold in PF1, right?
And
so
if my stone cunning would help, if that helps at all,
yeah.
it's a
What is your
+2.
stone cunning bonus? Is it +2? +4?
It's +2, I think.
+2. Okay.
Yeah, +2.
Okay. So a couple things. What I was going to ask you guys to roll for, and Niall, I think you could likewise know this too. You know the rudiments of like that gatestones. Making use of them, there is a risk. Like at any time, there's a like one of the reasons people don't regularly use them is because you could be cast into God knows where. You know, one of the inhospitable outer realms that, or worse, the outer dark, where unspeakable things dwell. So a mishap is always a chance. That's where Niala would be thinking in terms of the what could have gone wrong with the actual construction. Griffith, in terms of where you may have arrived, there is the possibility, I guess for one thing, time travel is not really a thing with teleportation. That is not a off thing. So absent something unthinkable happening, what can happen here is you could be shunted, and there are places nearby that only like the most forgotten and ancient of magics can access, but traverse to other places where there are said to be, sages speak of shadow realms, meaning a thing that is cast by the real world, by the actual world.
Sounds like a knowledge planes roll.
Yeah, it could be. If you can give it a knowledge plane. Yeah. So that it could be. This could be a matter that you've been cast elsewhere, in which case there's probably a couple of tests you would want to do. You know, like you could test against the picking up stones, see if they fall at the same rate. You know, test smelling, see if that happens the same thing.
Griffith's eyes turned to his dancing light spell. It's the evocation light, and there it's kind of suppressed a bit in like shadow planes, so they'd be dimmer than usual.
And that is not the case here.
Okay.
If you run through your sort of checklist of theoretical things, this feels like this feels like the world.
He grunts and says, "So, you know how I said it wasn't deadly or get hurt? Well, this can happen, but I don't know what this is."
You guys can then hear from somewhere far off. It sounds like a howl or a hoot. Oh! And it whoa, echoes through here.
I'm sure Anna loves that sound. Do it again.
Do it again.
Is that something we want to investigate or avoid?
Have you ever been here before?
I have no idea.
So you guys have been to Alterhofen before, but this is... It is Alterhofen, but now that the Griffith's lights are drifting around and shedding that, you know, that yellowish orange light on everything, it's what you see. It's the floor has fucking given way and there is something glowing beneath. The undercroft here has been ruined, either by devastation or by age or a combination of the two.
Victor, are you okay?
I think that at this point, you can see Victor's face is like clearly distraught, and he like drops to his knees, and he is like clenching his fists.
Griffith, what you would know is that there's still, if there was a mishap, then the chances of the of Hugo coming through and the Crown Prince and the Parador's Guard coming through is very, very unlikely. But if this was an intentional shunt, the Gatestone still seems to be functioning.
Do we have the power to use it?
Well, it wouldn't be you. It would be coming through from the other side.
Mm.
Are we supposed to move off of it?
It would be best.
Yeah. He'll grab Victor by the back of the neck and get your feet, get away from the stone.
He'll sort of stagger off and slump down then on his butt outside of the teleportation circle thing.
What is the
With his
other?
hands on his head.
If there's any chance that Hugo's coming after us, it'll be soon.
Let's wait.
This does not feel like a mishap.
So with the motes of light drifting around Griffith and Nyala and Victor on the ground, what is Nyala doing? Victor seems to be staring at the Gatestone. Griffith seems to be staring at the Gatestone. What is Nyala doing?
I think she doesn't want to leave the group, but she tempted to just leave the immediate area and just kind of circle around and check what's happened to this place.
So I think, Nyala, why don't you give us a perception check?
Please don't roll a 1.
Why? Can I say it's a spot check?
A hero point that?
Shadow attack.
So you get to the edge and you're looking around. What you see when you get near the edge is something curious. It almost looks like at one of the ruined parts in the wall. At first you think, is it leather? And when you get in, it's almost as if someone had set uneven leather into the little cyst in the wall. And when you get closer, the reflected light from Griffith's dancing lights, you can see it's actually moist flesh set as a cyst in the wall. And there is a depression in it that is human-sized and in the shape of a human. As if something was in there and had fallen out. And with Griffith and Victor staring at the Gatestone, hoping that Prince Hugo will appear, Nyala, there is a scene that appears at one of the sides, the edge of that flesh, and an eye opens up to look at you. And that is where we will leave our session, guys. So, for those listening at home, we had us there, guys. I guess that's not really the thumbnail we can use right now, eh? I guess we'll have to go here. So, for those listening at home, thank you so much for joining us for our foray into Pathfinder First Edition. an adventure called Last of the Falling Leaves. As is always the case, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the session, the game, or the adventure, please don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section down below, and I'll endeavor to reply in a timely fashion. There's also a link down below to the Dungeon Musings Discord server, where we have a channel dedicated to D&D 3.5 and Pathfinder. I'll be posting the character sheets for our 3 heroes over there. So if you are curious about what the stats of these heroes are, you can find that on the D&D 3.5 / Pathfinder channel of the Dungeon Musings Discord server. We also have channels dedicated to most of the other games we run on the channel, most of the campaigns we run, finding a group, virtual tabletop chat, GM discussions, lots of great people over there, and you are more than welcome to join us. There's also a link down below to our friends at Noble Knight Games. Noble Knight Games is the preeminent unionized retailer of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs in North America. I'm just going to switch over our Muzak to what we started with, so we can leave that running. Noble Knight Games is the preeminent unionized retailer of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs in North America, and not only do they have an amazing selection of new role-playing games, board games, and card games, they have an unmatched selection of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs. If there is something you are looking for in their extensive catalog that is not in stock, you can put it on a want list, and they'll send you an email when it comes in. And if you make a purchase of $10 or more through their website, be sure to enter the code MuserMashup, all caps, all one word. Whoops. It is listed in the description of the video down below. And it will save you 10% in your purchase. They have an extensive collection of Pathfinder First Edition products, which is... I picked up some stuff recently from them for this to help fill some holes in my collection. In addition, there's also a link down below. Oh, that discount code will change at the end of September 2024. So if you're listening to this after that time, come back to one of our more recent videos and you'll find your discount code there. There's also a link down below to the to the Heroes Save Villages campaign, which is the charity fundraising campaign we run on the channel. It benefits the SOS Children's Villages International Charity, an incredible organization active in over 130 countries, benefiting over 80,000 orphaned and abandoned children, including a bunch of ongoing relief efforts that you can learn all about by following that link. Any donations through that link go directly to them, and none of it goes to the channel or any other middleman. It just goes to help out the kids who benefit from SOS Children's Villages International. And as a small way of saying thank you, if you've donated $25 or more since January 1st, 2024, head on over to the Charity Initiatives channel of the Dungeon Musings Discord server, and you will find voting. We are running a series of mashup sessions. We will be taking classic adventures and mashing them up with RPGs they are not designed to be run with. So currently we have voting going for the classic Expedition to the Barrier Peaks. If you make your way over there, you can vote on one of the 4 games. Voting is open for that part until the 11th, and then there will be 4 more sessions, each with a different classic adventure, each with 4 different games that you can vote on, and then we'll be running those at the end. You'll also be able to vote on the heroes that we'll be playing in those sessions too. So there's lots of opportunities to help shape what we'll be doing for the charity games on the channel, as a small way of saying thank you to our generous donors. The last thing I will say is a huge thank you to our stalwart players, Jeffrey, John, and Dave. Thank you so much for not only playing, but giving such incredible life to these characters. That was really, really impressive. That was a lot of fun to run tonight. So thank you very, very much, guys.
Love session ones. They're great.
So then we will be back in 2 weeks' time with another game. We'll be returning to Pathfinder 1. We'll see in 2 weeks' time. Watch, I'll see in about a week's time. We'll let you know on our schedule. But until then, we hope that we gave you a few hours to take your mind off the troubles of our world and think about the troubles that our heroes in the Grindlehaus Empire are encountering as they simply try and keep Crown Prince Hugo safe. Seems the Dungeon Master had other plans. And until we see you again, stay safe, stay healthy, and happy gaming.